Who says fiction doesn't hold important messages? I would argue that Bones to the Wind has been my most important read thematically this year. Hello everyone, welcome or welcome back to A Fictional Escapist. My name is Kris, and today's video is the Bones to the Wind book review. This is the Forging Age duology, book number 1 by Tatiana Obey. Bones to the Wind was so much more than a high-staked action adventure set in a fantastically vivid world. Like I said in the intro, this may be one of the most important things I've read this year in terms of the sheer scope of thematics inside of this book. Jumping into the plot, each year adolescents of age must throw their bones to the wind and undertake what's called a forging. This is a dangerous competition which aims to cull the weak from the current population and determine the rations for society during the coming year. Raja is determined to beat her old man's record in the forging this year. She has a mere days to find and slay a creature called a Gonda in order to be victorious in her quest. Raja is taking no prisoners. You are either with her or you're not, and she doesn't care either way. This boisterous, opinionated and determined young thing will stop at absolutely nothing to come out on top. Her plans are foiled pretty quickly though when she's teamed up with nemesis Nico as part of her cull or her group. Nico cares not for Raja's dreams of glory, preferring to keep everyone safe, find her deathly sick brother and help him with his last chance to survive this test. Brother Kai is weak and worthless, or at least that's what he thinks of himself, giving up even before he begins the competition. As he resigns himself to death, he comes across the firecracker that is Raja. Before he knows it, he is off with her to find a dragon, realizing maybe, just maybe, that he has something worth fighting for after all. Hot-headed teenagers battle desert dangers, fight off starvation, and give in to hormonal urges in this inclusive, action-packed and often humorous adventure. Now the plot already sounds incredible, and you know you're in for a fast-paced adventure that's going to give you a genuinely good time. But what makes this book incredible is all of those things between the lines of the story itself. The execution of this book was phenomenal in my opinion. The author has not only captured just how annoying, egocentric, horny and scared adolescents can be, but has put a great deal of thematics within these pages which are oh so important for developing brains. This book deals with some really big topics and writes them in a way that is accessible but can also be taken at face value for those who aren't looking to look deeper into their reads. Bones to the Wind touches on classism, generational trauma, belief in oneself and not relying on other people's opinions to give you those beliefs, the importance of listening and reflecting on your own bias, working with those of strongly opposing opinions, sexual expression, and so much more. Now, these themes are already fairly powerful, but they are made even more so by the characters Obey has written, driving them home. Taking Raja, for example, she annoyed me throughout the whole book, but I understand why. Raja feels like she has lost everyone. No one stays, so she's needed to sharpen her skin to the point that it is almost impenetrable, nothing can touch her. She wants to be left alone. More people mean more disappointment, and opening up means more potential hurt for her. She is unrelenting in her taunts to others, declaring herself the best and showing that skill to back it up. And like I said, she did annoy me. She was somewhat a bully, very unforgiving of others' shortcomings and failures, but I was also so captivated by her growth throughout this book, and trust me, she grows a hell of a lot. Nico, her nemesis, much more sensible, much more of a rule follower, someone that I related to a lot more, was growing up, and she needed to be the best, but she also needed to think of everyone else and how her actions affected the world. This is such a heavy weight that we as adults see a lot of children carry throughout their day-to-day, that they constantly have to be a success for risk of wrath or disappointment from a parental figure. This book very much showcased that constant pressure of success. It was clear that Nico's childhood was filled with this constant worry, and she was very much made an adult too early for her. Kai, her brother, was told he was weak, he was worthless, and that he would amount to nothing. And because of that, he believes he is better off dead and he wants to be left alone. There is no flame inside this young man until he is told over and over again that he could be something more, and eventually starts to believe it. These lessons are hard to learn if we're not willing to listen, but sometimes you just need a friend with the gall to get through your thick skull. I know I've been there, I know a lot of people have been there. The personal lessons coupled with life lessons of the world inspired me as a reader a very great deal going through these pages. Now, for those less focused on the thematics of your book and just wanting to read for the sake of entertainment, this book has still got you. Bones to the Wind has one of the most vivid worlds I've ever had the pleasure of reading. We've got fierce and dangerous creatures that traverse the desert lands, providing both sources of food, shelter, and entertainment. The Grand Cull, which is sort of like the city, was very vivid and divided by the people who lived in the tents and the people who lived in the cities, and the characters documented within those spaces were done so with extraordinary detail. It felt like you were looking at them, it felt like you were experiencing these cities or the tents wherever you were in the story at any given time. The action-adventure aspects also meant this was a fast-paced book with high stakes. I'm talking wind ships, crew fights, and have I mentioned that there are dragons in this book yet? An entire building is made from dragon bones, which is also guarded by another dragon. This book was wild. I really love and admire what Obey has done in this story, and even though this isn't a book I would naturally gravitate towards, I am incredibly blessed to have read it. I wish I'd read this when I was 15 or 16, and it would have opened my eyes to a whole lot of things that would come later in life. Obey for me is absolutely an author to watch. I cannot wait to see what she does next. I'm looking forward to reading the second book for this one, which I believe is Dragon Your Bones, and there's also a novella coming out later in the year called Sister Samurai. Again, quite thematic heavy. I know that Obey wants to see herself in these books, and it shines through, but gives everyone who reads it something to take away. That was Bones to the Wind by Tatiana Obey. Have you read it? What were your thoughts? Let me know in the comments down below. Are you going to read it? Again, let me know. If you like the content, give it one of those. If you want to see more of it, click subscribe at your will. I will catch you in the next video. Ciao.